In the Know Talk Show with DJ Mo.
Welcome to the first episode of In the Know Talk Show with yours truly, DJ Mo. I am DJ Mo, and for those of you who know me, you probably know me as a DJ on WPRK 91.5 FM in Winter Park, Orlando, Florida. And you know me for playing all the great jams over the years since 2005. Some of you know me from listening to me on other radio stations because I was syndicating since 2012. As of September 4th, 2024, you can listen to me 5 days a week on Superstation 104.5 in Huntington, West Virginia, Monday through Thursdays 9 to 11 and Fridays 5 to 7, simulcasting since 2023 on that very time slot. Fridays 5 to 7 p.m. is when I do my live radio show on 91.5 FM. And also in my hometown, you can listen to me on 93.3 Tiger FM in Fort Myers, Florida, Sunday nights, 8 p.m. to midnight. I've been doing music radio since 2005, and I think it's time for me to do talk radio, right? Maybe like a podcast. I'll make this available to you, starting with YouTube. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I going this talk route? Well, it's probably because I don't have much microphone time since I'm playing all the great music for you. I decided I'd put it in this little section right here, so you could probably listen to in the car or wherever you're at. You can close your eyes if you're not driving, and I can tell you the story of how I came to be who I am today. And we'll also talk about some topics that you want me to talk about. Any trending topics, personal topics. I will try to stay away as much as politics, so I won't get too controversial, but maybe I'll touch up on that too. But as for this first episode, I'm going with the very first suggestion that one of my friends suggested. And I think a lot of you probably want to know about this because I've been a DJ for probably as long as you can remember, if you've known me after my college days. I started to get into radio when I was in the elementary school. Yeah, around the first grade, maybe around second, third, or fourth grade. Especially fourth grade was the earliest that I knew that I wanted to do radio. I was really interested in radio. Now, how that began was my dad had this really vintage Sanyo Plus Series receiver that could pick up a whole bunch of radio stations. Back then in the mid to late 80s, you could pick up radio stations from all the way from Lehigh Acres, Florida to Miami. And I even picked up a radio station from South Carolina at one point. I'm not sure if I have any air checks of that, but that was pretty cool. And if you're a radio nerd like me, you enjoy all the tropos that happens. Now, a tropo is like atmospheric conditions where the signal from a faraway station is a lot more prominent than a local station, which is a totally weird and awesome phenomenon that I enjoyed doing while scanning the dial. Now, with that Sanyo Plus Series receiver, my dad first introduced me to Oldies 95.3, playing the greatest hits of the 50s and the 60s.
Oldies 95.3 WOLZ, 9:38 here with Paul Conrad. Another 12 in a row to start off for you in just a little bit.
I remember the times when they were playing music before the 70s. And now today, pretty much all the radio stations play anything after the late 70s or something like that. So the music that I grew up listening to are long gone. My dad introduced me to the Red Album of the Beatles, and that's probably the record that started off my music appreciation. The Beatles' Red Album. So definitely at around 1987 was around the time when I figured out how to change the radio station from that Oldies 95.3 in Fort Myers. Don't get me wrong, Oldies 95.3 was one of my favorite stations back then, but once I learned how to switch the dials, I ventured into my own little genre of music that my parents did not appreciate at all. Asian parents are very strict and they do not like that I listen to rap music. And the only rap music station that was in Southwest Florida at the time was 91.5 The Spark, WSRX.
91.5 The Spark and Power 89.5.
And they played everything that was freestyle, dance, hip-hop, Miami Booty Bays, pop music. A small list of them that I heard in regular rotation was like Sir Mix-a-Lot, Buttermilk Biscuits, which I do play on my own radio show. That is a radio station that inspired me because of the personality, because of the music, the energy. Just the whole vibe of that radio station was like, I wanted to become a part of that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to become part of that because of my strict Asian parents keeping me at home. and I couldn't go to those parties that they broadcasted live from, which was Sparklers Music Club in Fort Myers or Naples or something like that. But I was listening to these concerts absolutely live on the air as it was happening.
Live at Music America Theater, Marcy G and Mark Salmon in full effect.
So I didn't really had to leave the house in order to experience 91.5 The Spark to the fullest, but would have been preferred if I would actually went to one of these concerts or events. It was a teen nightclub, and I knew some friends who actually went to that nightclub. And those teens should be lucky that they enjoyed that experience live in that particular venue. Because what I heard over the air sounded so much fun. Music like MC Shidy's Shake It. They played Two Live Crew. DJ Magic Mike was live performing at one point, maybe two. And they even played local stuff from the DJs who were on that station, like MCK. And there was also a parody of Ice Ice Baby that I can't seem to find anywhere. I think they're the only ones that played them, and they probably produced that particular parody. Unfortunately, that station only lasted from 1987 to maybe like 1993-ish before they was sold to a Christian broadcaster, and now they're boring. So my inspiration was gone at around 1993, but I still had Power 96.
It's the 1030 Street Party starring Felix Sama, Power 96.
I still had the Power Pig in Tampa.
Power 93.
And every once in a while, I would pick up 102 jams from Orlando. So you can see that I'm pretty much a radio nerd. And at the same time, have that radio bug since 1987, which was probably when I was like 6 or 7 years old, around the same time when I got my first Micro Machine. That's when I actually started to become DJ Mo. But I wasn't DJ Mo officially until maybe college or after college. Because during middle school, I called myself DJ Most Outrageous, with the MO acronyms saying Most Outrageous. Outrageous being the word of the 90s, because it's totally outrageous, dude. And it's a cool word to say back in the 90s. And I held that DJ Most Outrageous name at least until I got to college. And as DJ Most Outrageous, I would record myself as a radio DJ introducing songs that I had in my personal collection. I would actually do this with one of my neighbor friends who came over and was the co-host of this station. And I could play a little clip of you right here. Let's go back to 1990. 90.
Well, now I'm the DJ of this radio station. We play good songs like this one.
So basically, that was how I sounded when I was 10 years old. A very amateurish recording, but I was able to remaster it in 2024. Dang, can't believe it was over 30 years ago. Those were the days when I pretty much had all the time in the world to do what I wanted to do as a kid. And now as an adult, time is of the essence, and it's very limited time for me to do it because I have to adult too. And like I said before, my parents didn't like that I enjoyed the rap music. In 1992, when I was about 12 years old in middle school, remember BMG Music Club? Yeah, I ordered the Dr. Dre The Chronic CD from them. And when I got it, I played it, and my mom and my sister heard it, and they were shocked as to what I was listening to. So, unfortunately, they sent it back to BMG, and I was without Dr. Dre until the edited version came out, maybe a whole decade later. It was that bad. I also wasn't allowed to listen to any music with bad words, which is understandable, but pretty much all rap music have bad words, or at least most of them. So the only time that I would buy music is if it was like the radio edit or the clean version on a single. And that is why I have more singles than I do albums in my collection. Cassettes, singles, remember those? Cassette maxi singles, CD singles, CD maxi singles. Yeah, I had them, all the clean versions, and I got to use those clean versions on my radio show. But as some of you know, I put them to work in addition of having them in my personal collection when they first came out. Almost every week when my mom went to the mall, or my dad, I would go to either Tape World, Trax, or Camelot Music to get music. At least one cassette or CD. I remember they had the 3 for $10 sale on all cassette singles, and I would get 3 at a time. Spend $10 at a time each mall visit, which was normal in my budget, or at least my parents' budget. At least until they started owning their restaurant in 1990, which was around the time when I caught the radio bug. So I was working at the restaurant almost every single weekend, earning my money to buy those cassettes and CDs. And that was my main expenditures at that time. Now, as far as my parents go as to me becoming a DJ, they didn't like it at all. And to this very day, they don't really like it either because I don't make a lot of money or any money at all. It wasn't until I got my first DJ gig, paying DJ gig, that my parents would say, maybe you can make money off of this after all. But we still don't want you to do it. We still want you to go after something else. And I would hear it every single day. Even as a 43-year-old guy, I would still hear them. Tell me, why do you want to become a DJ? Why do you want to do this? Why don't you want to do anything else? Why don't you do anything better? Make some money. They seem to not understand it isn't really about the money. It's more about the experience. It's more about enjoying life and doing things you love. And when you do things you love, all that money that you make while doing what you love is just bonus. Because if you do what you love and you make money doing it, then that is, to me, would be the perfect scenario. And I had that for a while. But my parents still saw DJing as not a job to be financially secure, which is true to an extent. But I know DJs who made a living from DJing. I made a few mixed tapes and mixed CDs when I was in high school. I did it pre-recorded through a program called Cool Edit Pro, where I would layer tracks atop of one each other and speed them up or slow them down to beat mix digitally, because I didn't have 2 turntables back in the day. I had my dad's turntable, but it did not have a good pitch adjuster, and none of the music that I was listening to and wanted to mix with was on vinyl. And speaking of vinyl, my very first vinyl was a 7-inch single. I remember my uncle David came to my house one day with a Michael Jackson Bad 7-inch single in 1987 that he got from Trax. And he just left it with us. He said, hey, you can have this. It was pretty cool because having Michael Jackson Bad as the very first record that you have in your own personal collection is probably one of the most awesome things, in addition to having that Beatles Red album at my convenience. I remember I got my first Sony Discman in 1992-ish, and my very first CD was a CD maxi single of House of Pain's Jump Around. I got from Peaches Music and Video right next to the Circuit City where they got the CD player from. As far as cassettes is concerned, my very first cassette that I bought over at Kmart, because their restaurant was right next to Kmart in that shopping center, was in 1990. It was the Beach Boys concert days, because it was on that $4.99 rack, and I was into oldies at the time. But yeah, then after that, I got The Simpsons, Sing the Blues, and CNC Music Factory's Gonna Make You Sweat. So let's see, in college, I went in as a computer science major because I was pretty good in computers, so to speak. In high school, I learned QBasic and I mastered it. I was the fastest typer in the class, and I got an A in those computer classes that they offered. But it was so easy, and when I got to college, which was University of Florida in Gainesville, all of that stuff that I learned went down the toilet because it did not pertain to the Java language at all. It was a totally different animal, and I had trouble with my grades for the very first time. And having Asian parents with grades lower than a B, yeah, you're just asking for it. There is a saying that with Asian parents, a B is a Chinese F. And that is true. I remember when I got my first B and my parents like, you have to bring it up. You got to do better. Look at your sister. She's valedictorian. That was what I had to follow. Unfortunately, I did not live up to my parents' expectations. I was following my sister's all A's, valedictorian, doctorate life. And that's kind of what made me have a lot less confidence in myself, because I had a sister that had succeeded in almost everything that my parents wanted them to, where I'm over here having such a hard time with Java, where I thought computer programming was my thing, and I failed my first class in college, unfortunately. So after that happened, I went through quite a few majors in college. I went to telecommunications at one point because I wanted to do radio. I kind of wish that I would stuck with telecommunications because my parents talked me out of it. They did not want me to become a radio and TV host or work in radio and TV at all. So they talked me out of it. I was so young back then. I didn't know what I was doing. And I left the telecommunications major. You should become probably a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. So here again, I was questioning what my major would be 2 years in college. And it wasn't until 2002 where I declared myself as a theater major because I checked out the resources. I stopped by Constance Theater where they had the audio board that I saw for the first time. And I kind of wanted to be a part of like audio if I wasn't doing radio or anything. I kind of wanted to do behind the scenes. And also at the same time, I was attending an improv class. Just as fun, not for credits. Later on, I would get at least 3 to 6 credits for that, but I joined the Theater Strike Force as an improv comedy performer on my own terms as a club, and I really enjoyed doing that from like 2001 to 2003 before I got into Hip Hop Collective, which started in 2002 all the way until I graduated in 2004. As far as Hip Hop Collective is concerned, that's when I started to learn how to DJ with turntables. I saw Hip Hop Collective out on campus one day, a DJ with 2 turntables, and I was just totally intrigued by it because I wanted to do that. It was kind of what I wanted to do radio as a radio personality. I wanted to do that too, playing the music, getting the vibe going, and it just totally amazed me. I'm like, oh, how can I become a part of this? I want to learn how to DJ. So I learned how to DJ on turntables with the Hip Hop Collective. I was actually DJ chair at one point. That first few months I was DJ chair, I spent hours and hours and hours perfecting how to mix and do the baby scratches. So I can do that at least. And this was in 2002. I would end up DJing for the club a few times, hosting DJ sessions where other aspiring DJs can also learn the craft. And we also invite other DJs over to show us how to scratch and introduce each other to hip hop songs that we enjoyed listening to. And that was part of the Hip Hop Collective. I also took a hip hop theory class in my senior year. So there's that too. I got to meet Chuck D of Public Enemy. I got to meet Boots Riley of The Coup. And yes, I know about the 5 elements of hip hop. And my parents did not like it at the time. They still did not like it. They did not like that I was a theater major. They did not like that I was performing on stage. They never saw me perform as an improv comedian. And they never seen me DJ until I DJ'd my sister's wedding. And that was in 2010. So after I graduated with a theater degree at University of Florida with some technical background in the audio, I got my first job outside of my parents' restaurant with the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. I was with the 134th edition of the Balloon Unit as a sound technician.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown Alley.
I was actually the monitor technician for the Ringling Brothers band. So anything that I was mixing went into the in-ears of the musicians that were playing the trombone, the trumpet, the saxophone, the drums, the guitar, the bass, and the conductor, which was a great start and a great salary. But unfortunately, I didn't have the body built for lugging all of the equipment around, in and out, load in, load out of each single arena every single week. And that took a toll on my body. So I decided that I was going to move to Orlando so I could start DJing instead, because I knew that I couldn't be doing the sound technician job for very long.
Hello, Cleveland!
I did get hurt when I was in Cleveland, and I was limping for at least 1 or 2 weeks. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know someone who works at the circus. I didn't exactly live on a train. I was per diem in hotels, so I had a pretty good life outside of the circus. One of the lighting technicians, the head lighting technicians, was the one driving the van. There were about 4 or 5 of us in the van, all technicians, and we would go from one hotel to the next. We did not live on our trains. Thank goodness, because I heard stories about living on that train, and I did not want to live on the train. I prefer living in hotels. That would have taken an even bigger toll on my body. So yeah, you know a Carney, a behind the scenes Carney at least. I work with Kevin Bernardo's of the Bernardo's Circus. He has a circus right now in 2024. I work with Mr. Feld. I met Mr. Feld. I went to the Ringling Historical Site in the Sarasota area. And throughout the month of December and early January, we were here in Orlando doing maintenance on equipment before we set out on the next edition of the Ringling Brothers and Circus for the 2005 year. I only stayed with the 2005 year at least until we got to Atlanta before I got a ride from Atlanta all the way down back to my home in Lehigh Acres, where I would spend about 3 months before I moved to Orlando to start DJing. And was it a really quick start for me as a DJ. I went out to clubs with a memo pad and a pen, took notes as to what songs really got the party started and what the DJ was doing. And there was one other DJ who was at the Peacock Room. He noticed me. He came up to me and asked me if I was a reporter or something, or a talent scout. And I told him, no, I was just an aspiring DJ. I just moved into town and I'm looking to DJ and I'm just checking out the scene and seeing where I can go from there. Lo and behold, this guy was named Cub. He is well known in the underground scene here in Orlando. He's still here. He invited me over to his radio show one night, and that was my very first appearance on WPRK 91.5 back in 2005 as a guest DJ on his shift, which was Saturday mornings 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Late Friday nights, which was prime for a great mix show to be on the air because it was right after the people were leaving the clubs at 2 a.m. and sometimes at 3 before they had the 2 a.m. curfew. So it was prime for me to be on that time slot.
You are in fact a privilege to listen to the next 2 hours presented by, thanks to Brownsville and Cub, shameless plug, Joey Mo. Yes, if you don't know now, you will know soon.
And he would invite me over to guest on his radio show again later on. And that was when I put in an application to become a WPRK DJ, and the rest is history. For those of you who are listening for entertainment value and to know more about DJ Mo, thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for listening to me over the years since 2005 on WPRK. I really do appreciate your support, and if you enjoyed this particular episode, there's a lot Mo to come, so hit that subscribe button below, put in the comments as to which topic you want me to talk about in my next episode, and I will see you next time. Until next time, peace out and carrots too. Thank you so much for listening to In the Know with DJ Mo, the talk show.